Okay, so this is my Math is Everywhere project where I'm going to explain to Miss Holly and all my classmates how RAID 0 works and how it's beneficial for you to make your computer faster if you're interested in building computers like me or anything like that. Um, RAID 0 confuses a lot of people. They don't know much about it. They just know it makes their computer faster. They don't know why, and it's a lot to set up sometimes. So I'm going to explain uh, the math and explain how it's involved in RAID 0. So I'm going to start off by talking about a computer. So this is a motherboard. Pretend it's a motherboard. You got your hard drive here. Just pretend it's here. A hard drive can really be anywhere because it doesn't attach to the motherboard. It just plugs in through a wire. You got your CPU up here. You got your RAM here. um, you got you got your I/O here. So like that's bad. You got your I/O here for like your monitor. You plug it in there. You got power. Actually, power's on your power supply, which is usually detached. But we're mainly going to talk about the interaction between this and this. So how a hard drive works is it stores bits of information. So you've probably seen the inside of a hard drive before. It has a disk like this and like a little read head like this. Basically, the hard drive spins around like this. It's like a record player. It spins around, and this little read head is magnetic. And basically, whenever you save a file on your CPU or on your hard drive, what it does is your CPU sends electronic impulses to indent like magnetic footprints on the hard drive in a particular order, in a particular binary order. So I'm going to give you guys a simple explanation of binary right here that I've set up. So if you're in my trig class, you've probably heard me get excited over numbers like 16, 32, 64, 128. That's because this is how people count in binary. Binary is pretty simple. It's not hard to understand. It's just a way to express information with only 2 bits of state. So we use a 10-bit system, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Um, uh, Not a 10-bit system, a 10 decimal system. And we express different informational numbers with different combinations of those digits. In binary, you only have 1 and 0. So you have to teach a computer how to read different combinations of 1 and 0 to represent different numbers. And how we do this is we have these powers of 2, which have a very special property, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, that any combination of these numbers added up can equal any number, your only limit being the amount of bits you have in the system. So this system can count up to 255, meaning there's 256 different combinations of 1s and 0s that you can make, because you have to include 0, which would make it 256, which is actually another power of 2. So there are 256 combinations, giving you the ability to count up to 255 because you have to include 0. So how this works is if you want to count to, say, 6, it would be 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And then you just add up the numbers. 2 and 4 is 6. And you can count to any number this way. So you want to count to 65, 1 and 64. So you want to count to, I don't know, 49. You do 32, 16, which is 48, and then 1, which is 49. So you want to count to 13. You just do 4, 8, which is 12, and then 1. Say you want to count to 7. That's 4, 1, 2, which is actually just, yeah, that's 7. 4, 2, 1 is 7. Let's see, about 37. 32, 4, 1, 2. Easy. Actually, no, that wouldn't be 37. Just remove the 2. Yeah, that's 37. So yeah, you can count to any number this way, being able to express an almost infinite information bits. So most computers nowadays run off a 64-bit processor. A 64-bit processor, I'm not sure the exact number of combinations of 1 and 0s, but it's pretty big, because with just 8 bits, you can count up to 255, and it increases exponentially from there, all the way up to 64. So that's how a hard drive works. As this spins, the read head gets those bits of information off, sends it to the processor. The processor does processory stuff, and then sends it to the GPU, which would be like here-ish. The GPU processes it, sends it out to the monitor, blah, blah, blah. Or if you're using integrated graphics, they would send it here. It's not important. So basically what the RAM does is it's like a hard drive. It's like a temporary hard drive. So if you have something open on your computer, the RAM will basically store all the information it needs to keep that program running. On the RAM sticks, and the RAM sticks are flash memory, meaning it doesn't have these spinning disks. It's just electrical like charges, basically, that the CPU can read a lot quicker, because RAM, you need that information accessed a lot faster because you're using it on the fly, and that's why RAM's usually a lot less big, a lot smaller than a hard drive, because it's harder to make that flash memory. It's more expensive, but you don't need much to keep your computer running, which is why they use RAM for this purpose. Now let's get to how RAID 0 works. Now that you understand how a CPU can talk to a hard drive. So RAID 0 is the combination of 2 hard drives to basically produce double the speed. So a line of binary might be stored on a hard drive as to represent the number 15. So let's say 8241. That's 15. 8241. Okay, so 1111 is 15. No, 0, 0, 0, 0. You don't really have to add those. So let's say a hard drive holds 15. The CPU has to go through and read it off of one hard drive, which isn't very efficient because it's only going off one spinning disk. But RAID 0 solves that problem, so it takes 2 hard drives like this, and it writes the data alternating. So instead of writing 8 bits on one hard drive, it'll write 4 bits on each hard drive in an alternating pattern, meaning it will write 1 on one hard drive, then the next one is 1 on the other, and then the next one is 1 on the other, and then the next one is 1 on the other, and it'll do 0, 0, 0, 0. Now obviously this is going to be faster, okay? So now the CPU can go and it can read it alternatingly, giving it double the speed and twice the storage, because you have to store half as much on each hard drive, if you understand what I'm talking about. So if we do something a bit more complicated, that wasn't a very good example because it was just a bunch of ones in a row. But if we do, say, let's see, let me get my eraser out. No, let's just do a white brush. Okay, here we go. So let's say your given numbers are... So let's say it's... I don't know what I just did there. Okay. Let's say it's 17. What would 17 be? Let's see, that would be 16 and then 1. Yeah, that's a better way to do it. Okay. Have your hard drives. Pretend these are hard drives. So we just do what we did before. We alternate. First one would be 1. Second one would be 0. Third one is 0. Fourth one is 0. And the last one is 1. And then you just alternate here. So this is where we introduce the risk of RAID 0. You get double the speed and double the storage, but the problem is you have twice the risk of losing your data, because you've got 1s and 0s on here, 1s and 0s on here, right? But this is unreadable data, which is completely unrelated to what you put in. We put in 17. This is 5 right here, which is nothing like what we put in, and this is just 0. So if one of your hard drives goes out, blam, this hard drive's dead. All you got left is 5, when what you wanted to remember was 17, which is which basically is a double risk for failure. Hard drives are a lot less reliable than solid-state drives, which is why people usually use solid-state drives for RAID 0 other than hard drives, because hard drives run a higher risk of failure. Which, you know, is a good thing, because solid-state drives are even faster than hard drives, and you get twice as much speed than what's already fast. So a way to put that is like solid-state drives are like RAM, because they work like RAM. They just have like electrical charges that this CPU reads, and no moving parts. Like a hard drive would be like a record player. A SSD would be like an iPod, because it has no moving parts. So here's some equations I brought up to explain in greater detail what benefit you would get from running RAID 0. So we have S here for storage, M for speed, D for number of drives, P for speed of each drive, and L for size of each drive. This right here is the equation for how much faster your system will be after the increase. So the storage, let's say you have a 512 gig. Okay, no, that's wrong. Let's say you have 512 gigabytes on each drive. 512 GB. And let's say the speed of each drive is 256 megabytes a second. And to be fair, 256 is a really fast hard drive. I don't think one exists that is this fast. This is like solid state speed. So we just plug it into the equation, and solve for whatever number. And let's say you have 3 drives. So if you want to figure out the speed, you just plug it in. Speed equals 3 times 256, which is, let's see, 512, 778. Yeah, I think so. Or maybe it's 768. 768 sounds better. Whatever, so your speed would equal 768. Let me just verify that. Yes, 768. Your speed would equal 768 megabytes a second. So the pattern we see here is the speed increase gets less and less every hard drive you get. Well, the increase stays the same, but the benefit you get gets less and less. Because the first time you do it, you get double the speed, which is great. That's an awesome boost. But then you add another one, it's not double the speed, you get like 1/4 the speed back. And every time you do it, basically it gets less and less beneficial to add each drive. Which means probably the most cost-efficient way to run RAID 0 would be 2 drives, because that's double the speed, you pay double the price, which is great. So, it's the same thing for storage. You just multiply the number of drives you have by the size. And fun fact, if you're running multiple drives and they're all different sizes, like this one's 128, this one's 256, and this one's 500, you only get this each time you add a drive, because what the RAID 0 does is it takes the smallest drive and sets that for the size bonus you get for each drive you add. It has to do it this way because it has to write the same amount on each drive, and once you reach the max on one drive, then you can't write any more on any other drives, because you have to have that drive to write alternating data on it, so it can be read in an alternating fashion like we discussed over here. So that was my basic explanation of RAID 0 and the math involved. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope my classmates enjoyed it. So yeah, I guess that's it. Thanks for watching. See ya.